Man, it's too cold to be out here. Let's just cross now.
Ijaaz, you know that's illegal. Jaywalking is not allowed in the state of Indiana. Besides, there's a crosswalk right there.
Dalton, I'm from Chicago, okay? Jaywalking is my middle name.
Hey, I'm citing you for jaywalking, punk.
What?
You'll be tried in the court of law to prove your guilt. I mean, innocence.
What's going on? I'm innocent.
Tell it to the judge, asshole.
Don't worry, Ijaaz. We're gonna figure this one out. Stay calm. We're gonna figure this one out.
What's gonna happen to my burgeoning career in TV entertainment?
That's what they all say, creep.
I know a couple of guys who deal with just this sort of thing. Just don't say anything without your lawyer.
Dalton, I'm in college. I don't have a lawyer.
Well, maybe I could be your lawyer. We could build this case.
I don't know if that's a good idea. I mean, you haven't even passed the bar in Indiana.
Bar schmar, that's just a suggestion anyway. Most laws are suggestions, really, if you think about it.
Okay, so you think we could argue that the jaywalking law is a suggestion?
Maybe. But we ought to talk to some real professionals about it before we go about anything.
Okay, good idea, but who?
Well, Ijaaz, I've heard about this amateur group of lawyers on campus that deal with just this sort of thing. It's mock trial, Ijaaz. We're gonna mock trial.
All right, man, let's dive in.
Your Honor, at this point, the plaintiff has, has a bench book which contains relevant case law, rules of evidence, stipulations, and special instructions. Permission for my co-counsel to approach and tender.
Yes. All right, I'm here at mock trial at IU, speaking to Sean Liston. Sean, what's your role here at the organization?
Oh, I became president last year. I've been in the organization for 3 years, and yeah, I'm glad to talk to you today.
Yeah, thanks for having us. So, Sean, why did you join mock trial at IU?
I've met some of my best friends here, and it's a really fun activity. It's a way to compete and use public speaking and debate, and I've just enjoyed every part of it.
Yeah, that sounds sweet. What does a typical mock trial meeting look like?
Well, we practice twice a week, 7 to 10, Tuesday, Thursday, so that'll look like writing and running scripts, like direct examination with witnesses, as well as practicing speeches, like a closing argument or something like that, and developing kind of your case theory, which each individual team kind of has a different one. But then we also travel, usually 3 to 4 times a semester, and we'll go to other schools, like this weekend we're going to Wisconsin. So Saturday, Sunday, we're going to be competing all weekend, but that's the basic rundown of what our year looks like.
Yeah, it sounds like a busy club.
Yeah, this is a very heavy time commitment club. Sure. I'm sure everyone's been a part of one where it's like you join the group me and that's it. Mm-hmm. But besides we practice 6 hours a week, we travel 4 to 5 times a semester, and that's, your Friday afternoon we'll leave, go to, Wisconsin, Ohio State, wherever, and you're there till Sunday. Sometimes you'll get back at like 2 a.m. But even outside of practice, you're going to be working on scripts for at least a few hours every week. So it's a heavy time commitment, but the people who stay really enjoy it because of the people and the activity itself. The tournaments we go to, there's 4 rounds every weekend, and there's 2 judges for each round. These are usually lawyers or law students, and they're scoring the round based on how well you argue, and for your witnesses, how well they act and portray a character. So at the end of it, there's 8 ballots from those judges, and whoever has the most wins the competition. Usually like 15 to 20 schools, you're going to go against 4 of them for a given weekend. But that's the basic rundown. That's why we practice. It's mainly for the external tournaments that we end up going to.
Yeah, that makes sense. How can people get involved with mock trial at IU? Is it like, you can kind of, like you said, join a group me, or is there some kind of like tryout process?
Yeah, so we have a tryout process every year. We only take new people on in the fall usually.
Gotcha.
So we'll have tryouts that'll involve preparing like impromptu speech or giving a witness portrayal. We'll give you scripts and things like that to work on. We usually have a pretty high turnout, but we take usually a range of like 6 to 13 people a year who end up being on our competing roster. That's kind of how we do it.
What is your favorite part about being in mock trial? What do you enjoy most about it?
It's the people. I wouldn't be able to commit this much time to an activity alone just because, it is something I enjoy, but the people are what make it that. You're with these people all the time.
Yeah.
You're traveling together, 6-hour car rides, you're staying in the same Airbnbs, hotels. So if you don't really genuinely like those people, you're not going to stay. So I made some of my best friends from this group right here, and that's what keeps me going.
Yeah, man, good for you. I mean, if you're looking for a tight-knit group of friends, come down to mock trial. So which role do you prefer, prosecution or defense?
So I prefer prosecution. I like the organization it has and kind of putting away, being the one who gets to argue that this person's bad and all of that. So I like taking the angle of like the high-flying prosecutor coming in there. And,
Yeah. You like doing the instigating?
Yeah, pretty much.
I like it. Would you ever work a case pro bono, or are you about that money?
I charge a pretty expensive hourly, so probably not.
Gotcha. You know, if you want to hire this guy, you better have some bread on deck. What kind of law would you want to practice after college?
If I end up going to law school, it would probably be something in the corporate space. Probably, I'm going to be an accountant first. If I end up going to law school, I'll probably do something like tax law. Something boring, something not as fun here. We don't do tax cases here. It's all, we have murder trials, high-flying plane crashes. This year we're doing a daughter killing her father, so I would do something much more boring than that.
Gotcha. Big numbers guy over here.
Yeah, something like that.
Do you think you could represent yourself in court?
I would try. I don't know if they'd let me, but I'd certainly try.
I've heard that like going pro se is not recommended. So what do you think you do differently?
Well, I have a big ego. I think I'm great at being an attorney. So I'd probably walk in there. I'd try to do it myself, but I'd eventually be convicted. So
It takes confidence.
yeah, it does.
Yeah.
Blind confidence.
Gotcha. Do you watch any legal shows? If so, like, what's your favorite?
I watch Suits, of course. Who doesn't watch Suits?
Classic.
Mock trial. It's not quite as high flying as Suits. Not as much drama, but you'll get pretty close. It's about the closest you can get to Suits right here without actually being on the show.
What's the guy's name? Harvey Specter?
Yeah, I like seeing myself as Harvey.
Gotcha.
But Mike is. We got a few Mikes in the program. Everyone kind of fills their own role. So
Yeah, little torture geniuses.
little torture geniuses.
Yeah. Can you explain to me what double jeopardy is?
No.
No? Okay, so as I understand it, it's like you can't get charged with the same crime twice.
Oh yeah, that is what it is.
Okay. See, I thought I was informed right, but I just wanted to hear from the source. This is also another kind of personal question. Like, if, say, I was cited for, like, jaywalking, I know you just said don't give legal advice, but, like, if I had, say, been cited for jaywalking, how would you build a case against me jaywalking?
Well, I'd probably pay a few witnesses to say you weren't jaywalking. Possibly get into police's lack of investigation, attack that, and well, we could take that case down in a couple days.
Huh. Sounds like it would be a quick and easy takedown.
You could say that.
Thank you for talking to us, Sean. I appreciate your time. And, best of luck with the legal career, accounting, whatever happens in the future. If you're interested in mock trial, where do you guys meet?
Well, we meet at the law school, but if you're interested in joining, you can email hoosiermock@gmail.com or check out our Instagram. That'd be the best place to start.
Yeah, sounds good.
Awesome. Thanks so much.
Yeah, thank you.
Permission for my co-counsel to approach and tender.
Sure.
We would also like to draw your attention to stipulation 29, which is on page 3.
I'm here with Lydia at mock trial. Lydia, what's your role here in the organization?
I'm the social chair, so I run all of our social media and external communications.
Very cool. And what is one thing that you wish more people knew about mock trial?
That we're not really big nerds. We actually are normal people, but also we are really big nerds, so it's all just the same in the end. Yeah.
That's fair enough. Would you ever work a case pro bono?
Yeah, of course. What kind of lawyer wouldn't? You're required to in the state of Indiana at some point, so yeah.
And I also heard that you're pre-law. What kind of law are you interested in practicing after college?
See, I don't really know yet. Probably property law or tenant owner law and stuff like that, because I worked in that this summer and that's what my mom does.
Family connection.
Yeah, both my parents are lawyers and they met here at Mount Law.
Very nice, very nice. Well, thank you so much for talking to us, Lydia.
Thank you.
I am here with Jenna at mock trial. Jenna, what is your role here in the organization?
I'm a witness. I'm double-sided, so that means I play witnesses on both the plaintiff and defense.
That's very interesting. And so is the witness role kind of like, assigned at random, or are you always taking the witness position?
Actually, so I started as an attorney. I was an attorney my freshman year, and I did this in high school too. So I started thinking that was what I wanted, but I tried out witnessing at the very end of my freshman year, and I actually really fell in love with it. So I've chosen it from there. It depends on what the program needs, but this is something that I've always loved.
Well, it sounds like a really fun and unique role. Since you're sort of like a 10-year member of mock trial, going back to high school, what do you enjoy most about it? What keeps you coming back?
The people. You develop a really close relationship with all of your teammates, with the whole program, and they're just some of the best people I've met here. I love them so much, and they're why I'm going to do it for the year that I have left.
That's awesome. Well, thank you so much for talking with us.
Yeah, of course.
That is the reason why we have brought this claim against Taylor Hobson. Today, as the plaintiff representing Shannon Shahid, we must prove that Taylor Hobson knowingly, purposefully, or facilitated the death of Avery Bancroft. And we must do so by a preponderance of the evidence. This simply means more likely than not, which means 50% and a feather. Ladies and gentlemen, that is a low burden. And today, the plaintiff will meet that burden.
Wow, those guys really knew their stuff. I can only imagine the millions they'll eventually receive as true lawyers. Well, Ijaaz, it's not all about the money. After all, I'm doing this pro bono. It's about getting justice. Okay, true that. You think I can get justice? You know, clear my name? Probably. Then again, I didn't pass the bar. Dude, you said that wouldn't matter. Look, man, I am figuring this out as I go. Even the mock trial guys are still just students, even if they were insanely well-versed in litigation and defense. Well, there's got to be a pro we can talk to. Someone who knows the system inside and out. But who? I got to think about this. I'm going to get some air. Yeah, just don't jaywalk this time. Nope. Double jeopardy, Dalton. You can't get charged in the same crime twice. Actually, it'd be two separate crimes, but don't let me stop you. All right, whatever.
Dude, I know who we're gonna call. I'm gonna dial 1-800-CALL-KEN. It's just that easy. Welcome to a very special segment of The Deep End. I'm thrilled to be here with longtime writer and producer Dalton Jackson in the Ken Nunn Law Office, speaking with a man who needs no introduction, Mr. Ken Nunn himself. So thank you very much for having us.
Well,
we're happy to speak to you.
It's my honor. It really is.
Oh, it's ours.
At any rate, I wrote this. This is called Things That You Didn't Know About Me. And it starts out about when I was 6 years old. It talks about how poor I was. I was dirt poor. I had a 3-room house. In that house, had one stove in the middle, and I grew up in a really bad neighborhood. I had an outhouse in the back, so there's no indoor bathroom. If I wanted to clean up, I just went to the sink out front of the kitchen and got a washcloth and started washing. I was 6 years old and I wanted an ice cream cone. My mother didn't have a nickel to give me an ice cream cone. So here's what I did. I went to the trash cans in the neighborhood and collected all of the tin cans. Got 2 bricks and squashed them. And then I took them to the junkyard and they gave me a nickel for all the metal because that was during the war and they needed metal. I got my nickel and then I went over and I got my ice cream cone. And so I think that was an example of if I wanted something, I worked hard to get it. And it was not handed to me. No heat in the winter. That was no fun. Jeez. And so I was 8 years old, and I took a little red wagon out in the neighborhood. I got tree branches and pieces of wood and came back to the house and started a fire. And we had heat in the 3-room house. And when it gets down, you know, to 0, it's pretty cold. It's pretty cold. But I didn't care. I didn't even know I was poor. We got evicted, And I think we were evicted 10 times in 12 years for non-payment of rent. And sometimes we had our lights turned off, and so we had candles. I would go swimming in the Ohio River at age 10, and because it was free, and the swimming pools charged to go in the swimming pool. So I dove into the Ohio River. So I bought a 16-foot rowboat for $15, and I would go out on the Ohio River at 3 a.m., 3 in the morning, 4 in the morning, 5 in the morning, and it was. I thought if the boat sank or something, I could swim to shore. I couldn't have, because it's 1.5 miles wide, and there's a dam about 3 miles away, and as the water came to the dam, it started sinking. It sank 27 feet and started swirling, and Coast Guard came out and threw a rope to me, and they saved my life. So,
Wow.
So I did dumb stuff. Okay.
Are you still rambunctious?
I don't know. I think I am. I skipped school a lot. I would tell my teacher how sick I was, and my mother let me sign the excuse. At age 12, I started delivering newspapers to help out my mother. I delivered 75 newspapers in the morning to 75 homes, and then I went to school, and then after that I delivered another 75 to the same houses, and then I set pins at a bowling alley for 7 cents a game. There was a miracle in my life. My mother was evicted from the Jeffersonville home. She could find a cheap house at Clarksville, which was right next door. And so I got to go to Clarksville High School. And during that time, I was a high school dropout. I dropped out for a year, didn't care. And then when I went to Clarksville High School, I didn't want to tell my friends I was a high school dropout. They said, school starts Monday, do you want to go with us? And I said, sure. And so I went to the school, and and I never did tell them that I was a high school dropout. But it was a miracle in my life. Why was it a miracle? Is because my mother could have picked a lot of different cities, but she picked Clarksville. And there I met good friends, and it was really important to have friends back then. I met my second miracle. She was sitting in front of me in a classroom in a blue dress, and I asked Tim Ellis, I know his name, Tim Ellis, Tim, who is that girl in the blue dress? And he introduced me to her, and we got to know each other a little better. She went to school regularly. She was an honor student. She had perfect attendance. We would have assemblies in the gymnasium, and it would be she would get all the awards. I was never mentioned. She said to me, if we're going to date, you've got 4 rules you got to follow. Rule number 1 is I can't cut class. I like cutting class, you just don't show up. The second rule was, I hated this rule, I had to get my homework done on time. And then the third rule was tough. No more D's and F's. I had to pass every class. She says I had to graduate from high school. I started going to school regularly. I started doing my homework regularly, and no more D's and F's. So those are 2 miracles I met in my life. She ended up becoming my wife later on. She built the new Ken. The old Ken was bad. I told her, I said, would you like to have a ride home? And she said, yeah. And so we went out to the car, and there were two men there in suits, and they were there from GMAC to repossess my car for non-payment. And so that was embarrassing. I finally caught up on the payments, got my car back. I started working at Kroger's, and I started out as a sack boy, and then they moved me over into produce, and they moved me over into fast frozen food. I have proof that I didn't work in the meat department. I've got all of my fingers, okay? Some of the guys there, they had fingers missing.
Wow.
I could tell they worked in the meat department. And during that time, I only had one pair of pants to wear, and they were black. And so I became friends with Rit Dye. This is where I was. This is where I am now. I got 35 dark blue suits. 35. Back then, when I was a senior in high school, I only had one pair of pants, and they were black. And so to get them to look decent, I would dye them black. And how I would do that is I would go to the laundromat in my swim trunks, and it would be like at 2 in the morning, and I would put my black pants, which were shiny and turning gray by now, and I'd put them in there, and I'd pour this in there, and sure enough, they became black again. It was good that I grew up poor. It made me stubborn. It made me determined. It changed me. Growing up poor was a benefit. It was not, I'm not a crybaby about it. It was the best thing that happened to me. So then one day I got married, and my wife and I moved to Bloomington, and because that's where Indiana University is.
What made you choose Indiana University for your school?
Because I was going to Indiana University down in Jeffersonville. They had an extension, but you could only go for so many hours and so many classes. And I had to move. I told her, and she started crying, and she was not happy about moving. And so, but she finally let me move, and she came with me, and we got married. We went to the Princess Theater. It's in the middle of the block. It's a movie theater. It's not a theater anymore. But I went there, and I watched the movie To Kill a Mockingbird. And that was about Atticus Finch being a lawyer. And I thought, man, I'm going to be like Atticus Finch. The next day I went to the law school, and I said, I want to go to law school. And they said, well, sir, you got 4 Fs and you can't qualify. And I said, okay. What I did is I took those courses over again and got Cs. And so I got into law school. I might tell you that where did I graduate in the class? I had, there was 122 of us in that class, and my class standing was 122. I came in last, but I was a lawyer, and so I was determined to be a good lawyer. I was blessed. There was great lawyers here in town, great judges, really very smart. And when they beat me, they taught me how to do things by beating me. So I didn't feel sorry for myself. My first office was an empty room. I rented a room, 2 rooms, and I built a bookcase out of cement blocks. And I had no furniture, no money, no clients, and no experience. I had nothing, and I was sitting there at my fold-up card table that I brought from home, And I thought, you know what I need? A phone. So I went over and got a phone. And I got the phone still today, the same number.
Same one?
And it was the beginning of my career. One day, I started changing, and I did 42 felony jury trials, criminal. 42. One was a manslaughter. Others were burglaries. Won all 42. Undefeated. Then I started doing civil cases, and the criminals would promise to pay me, but they wouldn't pay me. And so in 1985, I started doing injury law. I win 98% of the injury law cases that I have. I built this building. This building is a 30,000 square foot building, and I'm proud of it. And we have 100 employees and 15 attorneys. We're ranked #1 in the state of Indiana for doing the most injury jury trials for 25 years. And I don't lose. I don't lose. And we give these to clients, and I tell clients what they offered me and what we got. And that's really important to clients because not all lawyers work as hard as I do. I'm here on Saturdays and Sundays. I'll be here tonight. I've already told you that. I'm having fun. This is my vitamin. I look in the mirror every morning, and I gotta have two things for self-respect. One is I've got to know that I didn't trick my client, and then two is I did a good job, and that's really important. And I have self-respect then.
To see, personally, like as a student at IU, everybody knows the name Ken Nunn either from the buses or the advertisements or anything.
Oh, yeah.
But it kind of, you have this like mythic status in the minds of a lot of students of like.
Let me show you this. My name is Ken Nunn, and I'm a lawyer for 57 years. I have 100 employees and 16 lawyers, and we're ranked #1 in the state of Indiana for doing the most injury jury trials. That phone rings on average about 250 times a day. That doesn't just happen. That happens because of all my advertising.
We're very proud of our partnership with the Ken Nunn Law Firm. If you've been in the city streets of Indianapolis, if you've been to the market, you have undoubtedly seen all of the buses buzzing around the city center. They're bright, they are vibrant, they're just incredibly difficult to miss. And the reason that they chose the full wraps are because of the brand recognition.
The buses are wonderful. It's a moving billboard.
The power of the full wrap and the selection that they've made as an advertising campaign is unmatched. It's literally like having a 40-foot rolling billboard through the city streets.
You get constant exposure. I'm proud of the buses. It's a good investment of time and money. It's there if you want to see the whole thing.
That was great.
Well, Mr. Nunn, we have one final question for you.
Okay.
For the folks at home who maybe have been injured in an accident, who should they call?
Well, they should call Ken Nunn because I will look out for them and protect them, and I will do a good job. And we'll call them every 4 weeks to let them know what's going on. But we win 98% of our time, all the time, 98%. And we get justice. And that's important. Just that easy.
Mr. Nunn, thank you for your time.
We really appreciate it.
Court is now in session for the trial of Mr. Ijaaz Deepend.
Look, I didn't do it.
Objection, yes he did.
I object to that objection. This is hearsay from the bailiff, and I demand a cross-examination.
Mr. Dalton, do you know what any of those words mean?
Do you know what any of those words mean, blockhead?
The defense is wasting time with pointless discourse, Your Honor.
We're dying out here, Dalton. Work your magic.
Your Honor, Mr. Deepend may be an abhorrent human being. He may have committed all of the aforementioned crimes and many more, including, but not limited to, arson, grand larceny, public indecency, treason, public intoxication, private intoxication, public indecency again, disorderly conduct, overly orderly conduct, plotting to steal the Declaration of Independence with Nicolas Cage, etc., etc., and he may have absolutely no regrets. But at the end of the day, he's a stand-up guy. And most importantly, he's my friend.
I'm touched. I sentence the defendant to 7 life sentences and eventual death. Speak now or forever hold your peace.
Stop! Objection or whatever. So I was rewatching the part of the episode where he jaywalked, and I think there's something that everyone should see.
What do you mean, episode?
Just look at the monitor, Your Honor. As you can see, Your Honor, Ijaaz Deepend did not put his foot down all the way onto the ground when he allegedly jaywalked, so the entire case is bogus.
Oh, nice. I didn't even think of that. What he said, Your Honor.
Alright, I don't know what the hell that was or how you even got it on video, but I feel I have no choice but to rescind the previous sentence and take this into consideration. Henceforth, Mr. Deepend, I no longer sentence you to 7 consecutive life sentences and eventual death.
Hooray! I told you, old man, we had this case in the bag!
Hold on, I am not finished. You clearly demonstrated a premeditated attempt at jaywalking, and therefore are still guilty of criminal conspiracy to jaywalking. I am fining you the modest sum of $7 million, and hopefully you will learn your lesson. Court adjourned.
We did it! Justice has been served! An innocent man walks free today.
Dalton, where the hell am I going to get $7 million?
I think you mean thank you, Dalton, for saving my skin. Now, if you'll excuse me, I'm going to go celebrate this victory with my real friends. Beers, anybody?
Okay, yeah.
Come on, let's go get some beers.
Well, if there's one thing to take away from this episode, it's that respect is earned and time is money. Wait, that's 2 things. And maybe there's a 3rd thing, which is jaywalking. You know, don't do it. I gotta go call my bank now, and maybe if I'm not completely broke after all this blows over, I'll be back for another crazy adventure on the deep end. I'll see you when I see you.